Hello, I hope you're doing well. I think this video is going to be really fun. Basically, last week I had this idea to try 5 different types of journaling for 5 days. And I mainly wanted to do this because I have been using the Hobonichi Cousin planner for 3 consecutive years now, and with using anything every single day for like 3 years, it gets a little bit stale, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just felt like I needed some freshness in my planner. And I will say I definitely spent a lot more time during these 5 days in my planner than I typically would. There's like a lot more doodling and art and journaling and stuff like that. So it's definitely not sustainable for me to like do something new every single day, but I felt like this little exercise for 5 days was just like the right amount of creative push that I needed, and I just feel a lot more inspired moving forward. So yeah, if you're looking to change things up, I definitely recommend just stepping completely outside of your comfort zone for a few days in your planner. Anyways, day number 1, I decided to make the focus all about articles. I honestly don't really follow news outlets, but I am subscribed to the Wall Street Journal. No particular reason why. I think they just had some sort of promotion where it was like $15 a year or something. And I was like, okay, that's pretty reasonable. So a few months back, I subscribed to it. And I read a few things here and there, but nothing too often. So yeah, I decided to just browse the website, and I found this random article about the history behind Lake Garda in Italy, and I just made a little doodle of one of the hotels, and this took a million years to doodle, but I really like how it turned out. I will put a photo of the original photo on the screen, but as you can see, it's quite complicated, but I just tried to simplify it as much as possible to fit it in that little rectangle. And again, I spent much longer on these spreads than I typically do, but yeah, I found it really fun anyways. And as for the article itself, I honestly didn't really particularly care for it. I did learn a few new things, which is pretty cool, and that's basically it. I did write a few of my own thoughts, not really related to just the article itself, but just general things about travel and stuff. If I were to do this again, I probably wouldn't pick more of like an opinion article. I think I would like to pick something that's actually like world news. So that is something to do for the future. So yeah, my first entry in the morning was the article about Italy, and then in the evening I had some more time and a little bit more space, so I thought I would actually browse the recipe section of the Wall Street Journal, and I found this recipe for some potato scones, which I thought sounded really good, and it looked really good, and it looked really simple as well. So I just quickly made a doodle of that and also wrote down the recipe. I'm thinking of actually trying this for Mother's Day. I think it'll be a nice thing to have for lunch or something. So for day number 2, I decided to go with art journaling, which I would say is a little bit of a cheat on my part because I basically doodle and make art every single day. So this is nothing like too radical in my books. But It's a little bit different from what I typically do still because I decided to whip out my watercolors and actually paint a lot of the things about my day rather than just like quick pen doodles. I think I went on a long morning walk on this day, I can't remember. And on my way back, I noticed that the tulips that my dad planted a year ago actually started full on blooming. I don't know if I just never noticed it or if it just like happened overnight, but I was like, wow, these are so pretty. So I took a photo of it and I'm just using my watercolors to make little blobs, and then later on I'm going to use my gel pens to outline it. With watercolors, I typically have two styles. One which is like more realistic, and then another style I call my blob style, where I just make blobs of color and then later on I outline it with a pen. And this is what I like to do in my planner just because it's really quick and I think it's pretty easy and anyone can follow it. So yeah, I just painted the little plot of tulips, I guess, and then I also drew a close-up of one of the red tulips. And the watercolors that I'm using is a mixture of the Winsor Newton Artist Grade, Winsor Newton Cotman, and also Daniel Smith watercolors. Okay, and then on this day I had a meeting a little bit further from my home, so I fully took advantage of that and went to the mall because I wanted to get an outfit for my sister and her husband's gender reveal slash baby shower, which I'm actually also planning. And our entire family is going to be wearing green just so that there's like no gender bias, I guess. So I ended up getting this green shirt, which I really like. So I just took a quick photo of that and made a doodle. And then either before or after the meeting, I can't remember, I also went to Starbucks and read part of my book club book. So I also made a doodle of my drink, which was a tea, and also the book. I don't know if you can tell by the lighting, but it was in the evening time, so I was honestly feeling a little bit lazy, which is why my sketches were very wonky. And then at the very end of the day, I decided to doodle a car because I took my mom to the Coffee Monsters Co. office, which I posted about on social media, but I haven't officially said in a video. I will talk more about this in my fountain pen haul video that is coming up next week, I think. But yes, we do have an office now. And on this day, I drove my mom to the site so she could see it as well. Okay, day number 3, I decided to make it all about podcasts. I never really used to be into podcasts because I think my auditory retention is not very good. For example, I really cannot do audiobooks because just absolutely nothing retains. I am not able to follow any of the story and I just kind of zone out. But lately I've been going on longer walks and I do find that I prefer podcasts over audiobooks to listen to. So anyways, I listened to an episode of The Diary of a CEO, and it's not actually about like CEOs or anything. I initially, honestly, the title of the series kind of made me cringe, but a lot of the episodes are not with CEOs, but actual like experts and doctors and stuff like that. But yeah, this particular episode I was listening to, it was about sugar and the effects it has on humans, I guess. Because I'm trying to kind of challenge myself creatively, I didn't want to simply write down bullet points of the notes, but rather I created this like colorful tab doodle with my Tombow markers, and I made the front tab all about notes. And then I also used my Pilot Vanishing Point fountain pen to write down my notes, and the ink that I was using is Diamine Earl Grey. And yeah, I just wrote down a bunch of notes as I went, and I actually perfectly filled out this page, and it was completely unintentional. I genuinely just wrote down things that I thought was notable and things that I want to revisit, and the spacing was just perfect for the length of the podcast. So that was that. Moving on to day number 4, this is probably my favorite. I decided to make it all about random journaling prompts. So basically, I found this Google document with 1,000 journaling prompts. And okay, so in the random number generator, I only put 728 because the remaining little less than 300 were unnumbered and there was no way I was going to count them. So yeah, I just put 728 because that was the last numbered line. And I just generated 6 random prompts, wrote them down, and then I got on with filling out my spreads. You can see me generating all of them, so you know that I was not cheating. And I also picked out emoji heads to match each of the questions, which I thought was kind of fun. So number 1 was, what makes you laugh? And I put this like happy laughing emoji. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I just wrote down my thoughts as I went. All of these answers that I'm writing down, I just thought of on the spot. I didn't plan at all. This is why you will see me hesitate sometimes when I write. And also, I did cut out longer pauses, so you wouldn't just see me paused for like 10 seconds. And then the second question was, what is your favorite book and why? And I think I wrote that my favorite book was Chess Story, or rather my recent favorite book is Chess Story, because I just have way too many favorite books and I cannot pick a favorite. The third question was, are you ever lucky? And I just expanded on that a little bit. Again, none of my answers are super deep because I was just thinking of it on the spot. Number 4 was, why do you think people encourage others to smoke and drink? And I put down this like nauseous emoji. And well, what did I say? I wrote my best guess was that humans like to bond over things, and pleasurable activities is one of them. And for some people, smoking and drinking is pleasurable. Okay, number 5 is if you were to write a book, would it be fiction or nonfiction? And my answer was fiction, and I think my dream book would be like a short, or I guess like a mystery novella, similar to Agatha Christie, because I love Agatha Christie books, and I would love to try my hand at writing a mystery novel. I think it'll be so much fun to like devise a plot and all of that. And then the last question, which happens to perfectly fit the spacing, again, it was unplanned, but it just worked out that way, is what do you dislike about yourself? And I felt like this question was a personal attack because I think a lot of you know that I have very low self-esteem, and I thought it was kind of funny that out of all of the questions, this is one of the randomly generated ones. But yeah, I just said my number 1 internal dislike is my intelligence, and then my number 1 physical dislike would be my chin and also my nose. Alright, moving on to day number 5, which is the last day of the series. I made it a reading journal, so you know, kind of playing it safe, but I still do really like how this turned out. And I'm gonna make a confession. I made day number 5 all about reading because I am really behind on my book club book of the month, and I just really needed to read. And also my time is very limited, so I couldn't afford doing one challenge and reading on top of that, so I decided to just make the challenge all about reading. So anyways, I just doodled an empty book cover with an emoji, and the book club book of the month is called The Sentence. And this book cover was really fun to doodle. I just first used my pencil to draw in all of the triangles, and then I picked out some markers as close to the colors as possible, and I was referencing the cover and filled all of the triangles in. I will also put a photo of the cover on the screen so you can see it as well. And then I decided to draw a little speech bubble and marked in the starting page. So this is a page where I started reading for the session, and then a space to put the end page and also my thoughts so far, but I had not started reading yet, so I left it blank for now. And then yeah, I just got started reading. I wrote down this quotation that I liked. I think I only read like 30 to 40 pages because I was just really short on time, and this was in the middle of my workday, so it was honestly all the time that I could afford. And then I wrote a very long blurb about something that happened in the book and how it kind of related to my life, so that is why I just went on this really long tangent. After that, I basically didn't have anything else to say because, again, I only read like 30 or 40 pages, but I did come across 2 vocab words that I wanted to note down, so I just made little bullet points and wrote down the definitions. And then in the empty space underneath, I decided to, oh, actually, no. First, I wrote down where I ended off, and my thought so far is that I was a little bit confused. And then in the space underneath, I just wrote down my expanded thoughts on what I think of the book so far. So that's basically it for this video. Again, it's very different from my usual spreads, but I found it really refreshing. And, you know, even though I can't do this every single day, I do hope to incorporate more fun prompts into my spreads in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week for a very exciting fountain pen unboxing. I'm very excited. Okay, bye!